My name is Charlie Rakes. I'm from Chicago. I'm the one who's going to make your life real difficult from now on if you don't toe the line, country boy. All right.
Our story today is based on a true American legend. It begins in 1931 in Franklin County, Virginia, a place known as the moonshine capital of the world. At the center of this world are the three Bondurant brothers. The eldest is Forrest, the middle brother is Howard, and the youngest is Jack. While the two older brothers are known for being tough and fearless, Jack is different. He has avoided violence most of his life, preferring to stay in the background. During this time in America, alcohol is strictly illegal, but in Franklin, everyone is involved in the secret business of making and selling whiskey. The Bondurants are the best at it. Even the local sheriff buys from them, showing that the law often looks the other way. One night, while delivering whiskey to a party, Forrest and Howard go inside to handle the deal, leaving Jack alone. Seeing an easy target, a group of robbers threatens Jack with a knife. But the robbers made a huge mistake. Forrest and Howard emerge just in time. With one heavy punch from Forrest's iron knuckles, the lead robber is floored, and the rest flee in terror. The brothers then move on to a high-end club to finish their nightly deliveries. Jack is ambitious. He and his friend Cricket, a brilliant mechanic and tinkerer, have created a new, smoother flavor of whiskey. Jack wants Howard to help him convince the serious and quiet Forrest to expand their business. Amidst this dangerous life, Jack finds a moment of peace when he sees Bertha, the local pastor's daughter, playing guitar. He is instantly struck by her. To keep their business hidden, the Bondurants also run a gas station and a bar. A mysterious woman named Maggie arrives looking for a job as a waitress. Forrest, a man of very few words, hires her on the spot without asking a single question. Later, while Jack is in town, he witnesses a terrifying scene. A famous gangster named Floyd Banner guns down two police officers in broad daylight. After Banner speeds away, Jack picks up a spent shell casing from the ground as a souvenir of the raw power he just witnessed. He takes it to Cricket's house, where the two friends have been busy in the basement. Cricket has successfully used Jack's ingredients to create a new apple-flavored whiskey. After one taste, they realize this is their best work yet, a product that could change their future. But for now, the business remains under lock and key. Forrest keeps all their inventory in a secure storage house behind their home, and he is the only one with the key. One afternoon, Forrest steps out of his storage room to find a group of men waiting outside his bar. Among them is Mason, the district attorney, and a new special deputy from Chicago named Charlie Rakes. Rakes is a cold, arrogant man who represents a new kind of corruption. He tells Forrest that from now on, every bootlegger in the county must pay a tax to the police to keep their business running. Mason tries to play it cool, offering Forrest a $20 bill for a bottle of his best whiskey. But Forrest doesn't budge. He hands the money back and calmly explains that the Bondurants don't share their profits with anyone. He isn't just protecting his money, he's protecting his independence. Rakes leaves, but the look in his eyes makes it clear that this is now a war. That night, the Bondurants meet with the other local moonshiners. Most of the men are scared, they believe it's better to pay the police and stay out of trouble. But Forrest stands firm. He tells them that the moment you pay a bribe, you become a servant. The Bondurants refuse to be suppressed by anyone, even the government. The next morning, Rakes has breakfast with the local sheriff. The sheriff warns Rakes that the Bondurants are legendary in this town. People even whisper that they are immortal, that they simply cannot be killed. Rakes mocks this idea. He plans to trap them or use force to prove that they are just as vulnerable as anyone else. However, the sheriff reminds him that the entire town is full of bootleggers. If Rakes attacks the brothers directly, the whole city might turn against the police. He advises Rakes to use the law as a weapon instead. Meanwhile, the youngest brother, Jack, is feeling the pressure of his brother's tough reputation. Trying to act brave, he drinks some of his own strong whiskey and heads to the church to see Bertha. But the alcohol is too much for him. The loud music and the heat make him sick, and he is forced to run out in embarrassment. Jack heads to his friend Cricket's house to clear his head, but he walks right into a trap. Rakes and his officers are already there, raiding the basement and destroying their supply. When Rakes realizes that Jack is a Bondurant, he sees an opportunity to send a message. He brutally beats Jack, using him as a punching bag to show his hatred for Forrest. As Jack lies on the ground, Rakes insults the immortal legend of the brothers and tells Jack to go home and tell his brothers that they are next. When Jack returns home, he doesn't find sympathy. Forrest looks at his bruised face and tells him sternly that there is no room for weakness in their family. Jack tries to warn his brother that Rakes is not like the local police, he is a sadist who enjoys cruelty. But the Bondurants refuse to be intimidated. The next day, when two of Rakes' officers show up at the bar to collect protection money, Howard doesn't reach for his wallet. Instead, he uses his fists to send them a message. Forrest eventually stops the fight, hands the officers back their weapons, and tells them to go back to the station. He wants Rakes to know exactly who he is dealing with. Later that day, Forrest prepares a large shipment of whiskey. He tells Howard to handle the delivery and return by 11 p.m., as Forrest is expecting two new buyers from Chicago at the bar. Meanwhile, Jack runs into Bertha at the market. She teases him about his incident at the church, but she finds his honesty charming, and the two begin to grow closer. As night falls, things start to go wrong. Howard gets distracted at a bonfire with friends, drinking heavily and forgetting his promise to return to the bar. Back at the gas station, the two buyers from Chicago arrive, but they aren't there for business. They start harassing Maggie, the waitress. When Forrest hears the commotion, he steps in. He finds that Maggie has already defended herself, wounding one of the men. Forrest immediately cancels the deal and orders them to leave, but the men choose to fight. Using his iron knuckles, Forrest brutally beats the two strangers and throws them out of the bar. Once the dust settles, Maggie helps clean Forrest's wounds. He tells her it's late and she should head back to her hotel for safety. Maggie leaves, and Forrest walks out to his car to lock up for the night. But the two men were waiting in the shadows. In a cowardly move, they ambush him from behind and cut his throat. Forrest collapses in the cold, desperately trying to stop the bleeding. Suddenly, it starts to snow. Maggie, feeling that something is wrong, turns her car around and heads back to the bar. When she walks inside, she doesn't find Forrest. Instead, she finds the two men from Chicago waiting for her. The night takes a tragic turn as they attack her. The next morning, the legend of the immortal Bondurants is put to the test. Against all odds, Forrest managed to walk through the snow to a hospital. Jack and Howard arrive at his bedside, relieved that he is alive but fueled by a new, dangerous level of rage. The war for Franklin County has officially turned bloody. Back at the hospital, Maggie comes to see Forrest. Shaken by the attack, she tells him she plans to leave the city. But Forrest, knowing the dangers of the road, convinces her to stay. He offers her a room at the Bondurant house where she can be safe under their protection. Meanwhile, the tension between the brothers boils over. Howard feels immense guilt for not being at the bar to protect Forrest, and he takes his frustration out on Jack. After a heated argument, Jack realizes his brothers will never respect him unless he proves himself in the business. Determined to show his worth, Jack decides to take a massive risk. He steals the keys to the storage house while Forrest is recovering and, along with Cricket, loads the truck with their entire supply of whiskey. They head into the city to find a buyer, but they walk straight into an ambush. A group of armed men surrounds them, and for a moment, it looks like Jack's journey is over. The men prepare to execute them, but the legendary gangster Floyd Banner appears. Just as the order is given to fire, Jack shouts that he is a Bondurant. Hearing the name, Banner stops his men. He invites Jack into his office and reveals that he has a deep respect for the Bondurant brothers because they are the only ones brave enough to stand up to the corrupt Deputy Rakes. Banner buys all the whiskey for cash and gives Jack a crucial piece of information. It was Rakes who hired the two men from Chicago to attack Forrest. He even gives Jack the address of the hotel where the attackers are hiding. Jack returns home with thousands of dollars, finally earning the silent respect of his older brothers. With his share of the money, Jack buys a car and a camera, heading off to spend time with Bertha and enjoy a rare moment of happiness. But the peace doesn't last. When Jack returns home, he finds only Maggie there. He realizes that Forrest and Howard have already left to settle the score. Jack rushes to the city hotel, but he arrives too late to stop the violence. He finds his brothers in a room covered in blood, having dealt with the two attackers in the most brutal way possible. Howard hands Jack a small, gift-wrapped package and tells him to deliver it to Rakes. The next morning, Rakes wakes up in his hotel room to find the pink-wrapped gift outside his door. When he opens it, he is horrified. Inside is a gruesome message from the Bondurants, the physical remains of the two men he hired. The message is clear: if you send killers after a Bondurant, you won't like what we send back. Infuriated by the Bondurant's message, Rakes begins a campaign of terror, raiding every friend and business partner the brothers have ever known. But Jack is no longer the scared boy he once was. He has become fearless. Working with Cricket, he finds clever new routes to deliver whiskey to Floyd Banner's gang, staying one step ahead of the police. To keep their operation hidden, Cricket designs specialized iron barrels and moves their distillery deep into the mountains, away from prying eyes. With the business booming, Jack starts enjoying the rewards. He buys expensive suits, hats, and a new car, flaunting his wealth in a way his brothers never would. Meanwhile, the bond between Forrest and Maggie deepens. Though Forrest is a man of few words and slow to show emotion, Maggie stays by his side, and their relationship finally turns into a quiet, mutual understanding. Rakes, however, is far from finished. To send a final warning, he targets the last remaining bootlegger in town, destroying the man's car and dumping the wreckage outside the Bondurant's home. It is a clear message: everyone else has surrendered to the corruption, and the brothers are now standing alone. Ignoring the danger, Jack takes Bertha out in his new car to show her the secret mountain distillery. He even gifts her a beautiful yellow dress, and for a moment, they are just two young people in love. But Jack's flashy behavior has made him an easy target. He doesn't realize that Rakes and a team of officers have been tailing him the entire way. From a distance, Howard spots the police following Jack's trail and shouts a warning. The surprise attack catches Jack off guard. He tells Bertha and Cricket to run while he and Howard prepare to fight. Howard launches a fierce attack on the officers, and Jack even holds Rakes at gunpoint, but they are quickly outnumbered. The brothers are forced to retreat into the woods to survive. While the police let Bertha go, they capture the innocent and brilliant Cricket. In an act of pure evil, Rakes murders Cricket with his bare hands. The police then destroy the distillery with dynamite, turning the brothers' hard work into smoke and rubble. When Jack returns home, the mood is dark. Forrest, devastated by the death of the young boy and the loss of their business, finally snaps. He slaps Jack, blaming his need to show off for leading the enemy straight to their door. When Howard delivers the news that Cricket is dead, Jack is shattered. Cricket wasn't just a partner, he was Jack's best friend. At the funeral, Jack is paralyzed by guilt and grief, unable to even look Bertha in the eye. The next day, the local sheriff comes to the Bondurant house. Jack, now fueled by cold rage, refuses to let him inside. The sheriff tries to distance himself from the murder, claiming the local police had nothing to do with it and that Rakes acted alone. He warns Jack that Rakes has called in more officers from outside the county and has blocked the main bridge, the only way in or out of the mountains. He advises the brothers to go into hiding. But Jack is done hiding. He grabs his shotgun and revolver and heads straight for the bridge. Forrest and Howard see the fire in their younger brother's eyes. They know this is the final stand. Despite Maggie's pleas for Forrest to stay safe, the brothers arm themselves and follow Jack. As their cars speed toward the city, the other local bootleggers realize what is happening. One by one, the men of Franklin County pick up their guns. They aren't just fighting for whiskey anymore, they are fighting for their home. Jack reaches the bridge and screams for Rakes to face him like a man. But Rakes is a coward. Instead of a fair fight, he shoots Jack in the stomach without warning. Just as Jack falls, Forrest and Howard roar onto the scene, guns blazing. A massive shootout begins. Even after being hit multiple times, Forrest keeps moving forward, covering Jack. Suddenly, dozens of armed bootleggers emerge from the woods, surrounding the police. Realizing they are outnumbered and outgunned, the sheriff orders a ceasefire to prevent a massacre. Everyone lowers their weapons except for Rakes. He is obsessed with breaking the legend of the immortal Bondurants. As he prepares to execute Howard, the sheriff, fed up with Rakes' insanity, shoots Rakes in the leg. Rejected by his own men, Rakes turns and tries to flee across the bridge. But the Bondurants are not finished. Despite being shot several times, Jack picks up a fallen gun and fires, and Howard closes the distance to finish the job. On that bridge, the reign of Charlie Rakes finally comes to a bloody end. The story jumps forward to 1940. Prohibition has ended, and the illegal alcohol business is a thing of the past. We see the Bondurant brothers gathered for a peaceful family dinner. Howard is a father of 3, Jack is happily married to Bertha, and Forrest is still the silent leader of the family with Maggie by his side. They left the violence behind, but in the hills of Virginia, the legend of the invincible Bondurant brothers lives on forever. The Bondurants didn't survive because they were lucky, they survived because they had a code. They proved that no matter how much power a corrupt man has, he can never break a family that stands together. If you enjoy this look at the legendary Bondurant brothers, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to Cinemaned for more deep dives into the greatest true stories ever put on film. Stay safe, and keep watching.